A very warm welcome to everyone who has joined us today from across the world. My name is Deepa Thakkar and I manage NRI products for HSBC India. I will be your host for the evening and I am delighted to welcome you today to our special initiative Life Beyond Borders. While HSBC India is continuously working towards making your financial journey better, we have been taking customer feedback on what more value can we add to their lives. To bring beyond banking to our customers and stay engaged with you, we have launched a specially curated series of Life Beyond Borders. We have received an overwhelming response for this series and have 1,000 plus clients joining us every month from across the world. Our last month's webinar was on elder care, where we covered how HSBC and our partner Samarth can help our NRI clients to provide family like care for their parents living overseas away from them. Today's webinar is on our NRI clients' most sought after asset class, real estate. NRIs prefer to invest in Indian real estate market because it suits their lifestyle and provides them safe haven by yielding a higher rate of appreciation and greater lifelong rentals. Recent data has shown that over the last 2 years, the average monthly rentals in the top 7 real estate markets in India, along with the prominent luxury micro markets, has increased 8 to 18%. To help us navigate the Indian real estate maze and provide solutions for the problems and the hurdles that it has for NRI clients especially, I am pleased to welcome Isha Sinha, Associate Vice President with our partner Indiassetz. Isha is responsible
Indians and non-resident Indians liquidate their properties fastest and at the best value. We also help them manage and preserve the value of their real estate wealth through multiple management offerings that are available on our platform. Today, I would seek to address all of the questions that you have on managing your properties in India through Indiassetz. Thanks, Deepa. I'd love to start the session with you.
Thank you, Isha. This was quite informative and comforting. And now, after knowing about Indiassetz, we have received some questions from our clients. And the first question is, what is your outlook of real estate market in India? How lucrative it is for NRIs?
So if you look at as an asset class, the Indian real estate market is finally taking a deep breath, after the grueling years of lockdown that was brought on by the pandemic. And there was a consequent economic unrest. But this industry has seen a very thorough recovery in the previous year and this year across tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 cities as well. If you look at the market size in general, the Indian real estate market size is about $200 billion. And we're expecting it to touch $1 trillion by the financial year 25. This will also contribute to about 13% of the country's GDP, which would make it the second largest contributor. So if you see in the last few years, a lot of whirlwinds have contributed and deflected investments towards India. The Fed has recently hiked the rate by 25 basis points, which reflects that returns are shrinking. Additionally, if you see in the last 1 year, if we talk about macroeconomic whirlwinds that are putting investments in India, the rupee went from 70 against the dollar to about 84. So there is already an upside to the investors. I'll take an example. So let's say you wanted to purchase a house in India, which is about $30,000, about 25 odd lakhs, and you had to make the payments in staggering amounts. So by the time you finished doing your payments, instead of 30,000, you ended up paying 25 to $26,000, which is already an upside, right? So the slide of the Indian rupee has unlocked a golden and a very unique opportunity for all the expats to turn their foreign earned money into a profitable investment. And what's better than investing in a property? Plus, there are a lot of economic factors in India that support the growth of the real estate market. With the implementation of RERA, a lot of documentation availability has been streamlined. So, a lot of transparency has come into the market, and a lot of timelines have been defined in terms of life cycle of projects. Developers have now become more stringent of the laws and regulations, and this in turn has attracted a lot of FDI in India, which is in turn developing more trust and value in the real estate business. If you see, prices in cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Gurgaon, etc., have been rising slowly but very, very steadily. They're not really very speculative. So, units and inventories are being lapped up, supply and launches are extremely staggered. So, the whole ecosystem has come into a more organized sort of a function. One of the further factors that contribute to, let's say, NRIs investments in India is the government's relaxation of foreign investment norms. If you see now, 100% FDI is allowed in finished real estate projects, let's say for operation of commercial centers, malls, townships under the automatic route. Also, easing of regulations around repatriation of funds also has made it very easy for the NRIs to invest and look into the real estate market. If you see over the last 2-3 years, the rental yield in India, owing to the pandemic, has gone very high, which provides a very attractive opportunity for all NRIs to earn passive income. So from 3-4%, let's say pre-COVID, it's now, as you mentioned, it goes as high as 18% on an average in top cities. This gives them an opportunity to gain better yields by using your rental class in upscaling properties and selling them in the market, or just gaining, reaping profits out of their investment. So I would say the promising real estate market in India is a very exciting opportunities for NRIs and all those people who are looking to diversify their portfolio. With the current market is set to continue its upward trajectory, and now would be an excellent time even for the fence sitters to invest. They should not miss this opportunity and take advantage of the potential for high capital appreciation that is going on in the real estate market.
Yeah, so that is clearly showing the potential of real estate for us domestic clients, but for NRIs, because they have a dollar, or a foreign currency, so appreciation of the currency also will help them in making higher returns. Now, but what some of the clients are asking, Isha, is that how easy it is for NRIs to buy property in India. How can they buy, like, from their NRE account, NRO account? What are the rules and do's and don'ts for that?
So, from a transaction standpoint, I want to make one thing very clear. Barring a few minor regulatory things, investing in Indian real estate by resident Indians and non-resident Indians is virtually the same. It's relatively simple, which I believe seems like a Herculean task, but it is not. Which is why we have to demystify all the apprehensions that are there around NRIs looking for selling or buying properties in India. So if you look at under the general permissions that are available, non-resident Indians and PIOs, that is persons of Indian origin, can buy properties in India. However, you have to consider some points before you launch into investing in India, which, owing to the current scenario, a lot of people do not educate the customers of what rights are and how they can make informed decisions in order to invest in real estate. Most of the current real estate scenario is bombarding NRIs with properties to invest, more opportunities, so on and so forth. But before considering any other thing of the rules and regulations, of how to invest, documentation, procedure, repatriation, and so on, there are some points to ponder before you launch into investing, which is what is the end use for your investment? Are you, because real estate has a very emotional point, not just for resident Indians, but of course for people living outside India. You must you must be very clear on what the investment end use of the property would be, and what would be the holding period of this property. So how long do you want to hold a particular property? What's the kind of property that you wish to buy, and what are the factors surrounding the kind of property that you, which area do you want to buy, which market do you feel would offer you better returns for the kind of investment that you're trying to do? What are the modes of payment in which you can pay? What is the kind of documentation that is required from your end? What's the kind of documentation that's required during the entire transaction? And how do you manage a property sitting 10,000 kilometers away? So some of these things are the factors that you need to take into consideration while you make an investment in India. But again, as I'm here to demystify the whole thing, I want to take this opportunity to tell all of our customers that Indiassetz takes care of this end to end. Depending on your goals, depending on your risk profile, depending on what your end term usage is, Indiassetz will completely advise you on what's the kind of property, what's the kind of market, what's the kind of returns, everything that would suit you as an investor. Because if you see, a lot of people only focus on the property aspect of your portfolio, whereas we want to focus on the personal aspect of your portfolio. So who you are, what your aspirations are, taking all of those things into account, and then taking your budget and your your end goal of the property into account, is when we do a complete advisory of the property and what we want to do. So Indiassetz will take care of advising you throughout the entire transaction. We will also take care of managing your everything that you would do for your property when you're in India. We would do it on your behalf, and we would help you across all the steps of this. So in order to just capitalize on these things, if an NRI is trying to do a transaction, they can do a self transaction using funds in their NRE accounts, NRO accounts, or their foreign currency NR banking accounts in India. They can also use funds remitted to India from their overseas account. They can use a loan. They can also avail loan facilities in India, which are available for NRIs. And they can also repay their loans through inward remittances. They can use their funds in their NRE, NRO accounts to repay. They can also use rents from a purchased property if they put it on rent. And of course, they can have their close relatives crediting the loan accounts. You would require certain basic documents to invest in real estate, which would be your passport, your address proof, your PAN card, some photographs, and an OCI card if you would have. Rest of the process to invest in a property is the challenge. Finding out what the best opportunities are, monitoring them, getting the upside of those properties, then looking at those properties, then taking an informed decision, meeting who the other side of the seller is, then the entire process with the seller, the negotiation with the sellers, the documentation, the taxation, the registration, so on and so forth. So all of those can be offloaded to Indiassetz. And that's the hassle that most of the NRIs face. That can completely be given over to Indiassetz, and we will take care of the whole thing. So NRIs can look for a property in India. They can do the complete evaluation sitting wherever they are, and they can see the complete property. They can see the micro market of their property. They can make an informed decisions. All the documents will be uploaded in their into their accounts at Indiassetz. They can use that. They can do digital signatures. They can pay their taxes, and they can also transfer the entire money wherever they want, all into a single payments platform. So all of this can be done relatively very simply with Indiassetz.
Thank you, Isha. It sounded so Herculean for an NRI. I can just imagine, but with a partner like you, a professional partner like India Assets, I'm sure it'll become easier for our clients. The next question is that on the gifts, okay, because many of the NRIs do receive property as gift from their grandparents or parents, and they don't know how to go about selling that property if they want to. Does India Asset support in selling of the gift property that they have received, and what is the repatriation process? How can they send the money to the country where they are residing now?
So you mean whether a person can sell a gifted property and whether they can repatriate the sale profits, the sale
Yeah.
proceeds and the profits.
Yeah.
So
So
let's
what are the norms of, gift? Like, is there some tax that they have to pay before they sell? And how do they repatriate it back to their home country?
Sure. So if the property is, let's say, a residential or a commercial property, there are absolutely no restrictions on selling the property. However, we would advise, it's advisable to hold the property for at least 2 years so that it can, you can avail the long-term capital gains taxation instead of the short-term capital gains taxation. So if it's a residential or a commercial property, you can, of course, sell your property. Let's say if the property is in India and you would want to come down to India and sell your property, that also can be done. In case you are not able to come down to India and you want to sell it through a power of attorney, that also is a separate procedure and that also can be done. The selling process also is, of course, quite is of course a very simple procedure. We can go through all of that in detail. Yes, there is a certain taxation that befalls on the seller, and a lot of times this is one of the questions that what's the kind of TDS that will be deducted during the sale, and how does the repatriation work, and how does the taxation work and all of that. So if the seller is an NRI, they of course there is if they sell their property to a resident Indian, there is a TDS deduction, and if they sell their property to another NRI, also there is a separate tax deduction. But the good news is that sellers can obtain, and if they work with their chartered accountants, they can get a certificate about their income tax, which gives the exact tax deductible, which can be passed on to the buyer, and then those buyers can take an informed decision of how much tax is to be deducted. During a lot of these transactions, what happens is when the tax is being deducted, most of the NRI sellers are not really aware of the fact that they can work with a chartered accountant, and they end up getting more tax deducted than there should actually be. So NRI sellers can also opt for what we call an LDC, which is a lower tax deduction certificate. You can work with your chartered accountant, you can work with your wealth manager, you can also work with us to obtain these kind of documents, which can be presented to a buyer in order to get the right taxation for your property. To get, for the TDS returns that are to be filed by the buyers, there are certain documents required, which are your sale deed copy, your KYC, so on and so forth. And they can be taken by a chartered accountant in order to give you the certificate. Let's say in terms of repatriation, again, the repatriation is quite easy. Let's say the amount has been received as an inward remittance, as in a debit to your NRE or FCNR account for acquiring the property or for a repayment of a loan. Then the principal can be repatriated outside of India. Let's say, which is the case in most of the properties, in case the property is acquired out of rupee resources, and a property is bought or a loan is repaid by anything, so the amount needs to be credited to your NRO account of the NRI, whoever is the NRI or PIO. The account needs to be amount needs to be credited in your NRO account. The good point is, if there is any capital gains arising out of the sale of property, that can also be credited to your NRO account. NRIs and PIOs are allowed by authorized dealers. You can repatriate an amount up to $1 million per financial year out of the balance of your NRO account for all the bona fide purposes, but to the satisfaction of the authorized dealers, and there are certain tax compliances. So entire sale proceeds, less your TDS deduction, can be repatriated from your NRO account.
Understood. That clearly clarifies many of our clients' doubts. Now, the next question is, that do I need to travel to India if I have to buy or sell a property? Someone is saying that I don't want to spend my vacations on traveling for property transactions. What is the process, that Indiassetz can help or support them, so that, do they actually need to come for buying and selling their properties here in India?
I think, Deepa, this is one of the most prominent questions that we come across when it comes to NRIs, and I believe this is one of the reasons where a lot of NRIs would become hesitant, because they feel that there is a lot of procedure, government processes, timelines. You need to meet multiple people. Is the documentation secure? Is the entire transaction procedure secure? How much money do we have to shell out for this kind of a purpose? How much time would it take? Would there be appropriate representation or not? And they almost feel that if it's even worse if an NRI does not have a family or their blood relative in India, then they end up taking 10 more steps back while purchasing or wanting to purchase a property in India. Again, once we clear the air around how the process is done, it becomes relatively simple. And also, as a partner, Indiassetz, I can assure you that we will take care of all of your power of attorney requirements, and it will be done in a very hassle-free manner. So wherever you're sitting, in whichever corner of the world, if you have a property in India and you have a slight hesitation, please reach out to us and we will make the process completely clear. For starters, I'll just take you through a regular process of how a power of attorney works in terms of a purchase or a sale of a property. Let's look at purchase, because this is one of the things that, this is one of the most important things that NRIs look at in India. So power of attorney is generally of two kinds. There's a general power of attorney, which is for representational purposes. And there's a specific power of attorney, which gives certain specific powers to the holder of the power of attorney to execute a particular transaction on your behalf. Power of attorneys can be given to blood relatives and non-blood relatives also. They can be given to your spouses. That is one of the things that awareness needs to be created, that power of attorneys can be given to non-blood relatives as well. In fact, just to give some data, for quite a lot of our NRI customers at Indiassetz, we have almost a 50-50 ratio of resident Indians and non-resident Indians. For a majority of our NRI customers, Indiassetz also becomes the power of attorney holder. So it's, of course, secure, safe, and if you go to us, it's done in a completely professional manner. So I hope this is one thing that sorts out that, do I need to have my relative staying in India, being in India in order to execute a power of attorney? No. If done with the right partner, of course, a non-blood relative also can execute the power of attorney. Now, let me make the process simpler for you. There's a power of attorney draft. Let's say you want to authorize a person, you have a vacation and you do not want to come down to India. You do not have a representation in India. However, you'd still like to buy a property. Now, that sounds very lucrative, sitting at your place, wherever you are, sipping your favorite drinks and just buying a property, at the click of a button. That can be done. So let's say a power of attorney draft is created. If the purpose is to buy out a particular property, a specific power of attorney will be created, wherein we will have the KYC documents, whether it's your passport, with your PAN card, your OCI. We will take a few KYC documents of yours and the exact schedule of the property which you're purchasing. That is what makes it a specific power of attorney. So it limits the person who is going to execute the transaction on your behalf. It limits their authority to transact on your behalf only for that particular property. Not to be scared, our advocates will prepare the entire power of attorney draft. It will be sent to you wherever you are via a courier or via an email. You must check the special power of attorney details. You would require to affix your photograph, sign it, fill the date, and then proceed with notarization. Now, a very frequently asked question is, do I always have to visit an Indian embassy? What if it is not there where I live? What if it is far away? What if I have to take a flight? What if it takes a long time in order to reach there? So, of course, as the first preference, the Indian embassy is preferred, wherein you can go and get the notarization. If not, you can get it notarized by your nearest notary, or a post office as well is authorized to do the notarization and attestation of your power of attorney. You must take your pictures. You must ensure that each page is signed. Your photograph also needs to be signed and attested. Once this power of attorney is notarized by the relative, whoever is the attorney for the representational purposes, the originals in the courier envelope needs to be sent back to India for a process which is called adjudication. So the power of attorney can be signed through the Indian embassy of your country, or through any other post office or notary of the company. And in India, there's a process called adjudication of the power of attorney, which is signed in a foreign country. This is done by the district registrar of the particular power of attorney. The process is quick, it takes about 1 to 2 working days and a very minimal fee, including stamp duty and all other costs. So it's a very highly convenient process and can be done very easily. Now, all of this can shall be done on your behalf by Indiassetz. We will send you the draft, which is prepared by our advocates. You can get the required work done at your nearest district. You can get the work done at your nearest post office, your notary, or you can get it done at the Indian embassy if it is close to your office. You must courier the originals to us along with the envelope. That's a fun fact. The envelope on which the courier is carried is a very, very important envelope, because owing to these kind of properties being transacted, owing to a lot of illegal mis-selling, that becomes very, very important. Once that is sent to India, the adjudication, we will take the, you can also give the specific power of attorney in an Indiassetz person's name. So all of the details of the person of Indiassetz shall be sent to you, and we will ensure that your document reaches us. We shall go to the district registrar's office for adjudication. And once that is done, the document, the power of attorney, will be ready in order to execute a transaction on your behalf. Let's say now you want to sell a property. So selling a property also requires a particular process. In that, let's say there's a property in India that you wish to sell as an NRI. Indiassetz will help you throughout the entire selling procedure, whether it is, marketing your property, whether it is finding first buyers for your property, doing the price negotiation for your property, or monitoring your site visits. All of the site visits will be assisted by Indiassetz. We will ensure that your property reaches as many eyeballs as possible. Everything shall be done end to end by Indiassetz. Consider a situation wherein there is a buyer for your property who has quoted an adequate price and you wish to proceed with the buyer. Then the procedure will go into something which is called as the due diligence. So the buyer's advocate will advise a set of documents that are required from you as an NRI seller. All those documents, along with the sale deed, will be sent to your country of residence by Indiassetz, along with the power of attorney draft that Indiassetz will curate for that particular transaction. All of these documents, safely and securely, will be sent to you in order for you to go to the embassy and get the power of attorney notarization done. Fun fact again, once you go to your nearest notary, once you go to your nearest embassy with all of the documents, you will only be able to sign the power of attorney once you have signed all the sale deed pages in front of the appointed person over there. So it's a completely safely secure process. You must get the power of attorney signed. Again, the notarization will be done at the embassy or at the notary or at the post office. Along with that, you will also get the sale deed and all other papers. Again, the buyer's KYC will also be sent to you, and you must do an attestation or a self-attestation of the buyer's KYC as well. Once you have all these details, they will be put into a courier. They will be sent to India only via a courier in a very sealed envelope. That envelope again will be taken for adjudication. Post the adjudication, once the document comes back to Indiassetz, then Indiassetz will take that particular document, will go to the sub-registrar's office. Only once this power of attorney, which is adjudicated, is shown to the sub-registrar's office for that particular property that you're trying to sell, only then will it be given for registration. If you have a particular representation in India, you can give a power of attorney to your blood relatives and they can represent you in front of the sub-registrar's office for selling your property. All of this process required, Indiassetz will do it for you end to end, and we will complete the entire procedure for you if you're sitting in any part of the world.
So this sounds quite exciting. So as an NRI, they can continue going to their holidays and also buying and selling properties in India and making those high returns. Thank you, Isha. This was quite a detailed explanation on how to get a power of attorney, because people would think that it's quite complicated, and that's why they would not be buying properties in India. Now, the next question is about comparing the real estate returns with equity markets, because Indian equity market is also doing equally well over the last 10-15 years. So, what is your view on whether they should, why should they buy real estate and not invest into stocks?
I would not discourage anyone from investing in a particular asset class or not in any particular asset class. What I can do is, as I mentioned in my earlier opening, I think one of the initial questions of why the Indian real estate market is a very, very lucrative market. So if you see, every investment opportunity or every kind of asset class comes with its own benefits and comes with its own, I wouldn't say shortcomings, but one could be better than the other. So it's very important to make a very, very informed decision. Let's say in mutual funds or in SIPs, etc., the entry amount is much lower, right? So more people can look into a mutual fund, more people can invest over there. If you look at real estate as an asset class, inflated adjusted returns are much better in real estate, right? Plus, with all of the focus that has been going on in the Indian real estate sector, with the prop techs coming in and the kind of returns that the Indian real estate has to offer, of course, it becomes a very, very lucrative and a very, very easy sector to invest in. If you see, over the last decade, most of the technological developments that have happened have helped banks and fintechs to scale and increase their customer base, and acquire a very large customer base owing to their efficiency in operations. With the advent of prop techs in the Indian real estate sector, with GST demonetization and with the RERA coming in, you can also see that the prop tech sector has become extremely, extremely lucrative. And with the kind of with the kind of the let's say the contribution that the Indian real estate sector makes to the country's GDP, of course, it makes for a very compelling case to invest in the Indian real estate market. If you look at prices, the prices in the top 5 or 7 cities have been growing very, very steadily. And they're growing slowly, they're growing steadily. If you look at the commercial market, of course, commercial market also is performing. Residential market in India is outperforming. Luxury real estate market in India also has performed very, very well post-COVID. The inventory in the country has been going down steadily. Builders are now very wary of launching projects which they would want to finish. Everyone is looking into elevating a person's lifestyle, elevating a person's standard of living. And those are the kind of projects that we see coming into India. And of course, NRIs actually contribute to about 12% of the Indian real estate sector. So if you go by numbers, about $15 billion have been invested by NRIs into the Indian real estate sector in 2022. That itself makes for a very, very compelling case for the kind of returns that real estate gives over a period of time. And I would also say there is a very, very emotional value of having a home ownership in India. So barring every other asset class, I would say that, a home is where the heart is. So as long as you always have a heart, and India is of course one of the best places to invest in. If you look at the growth with India, surpassing most of the countries to become one of the largest countries in the world, the story itself, in terms of GDP and growth, the economic development makes for a very, very strong case to invest in real estate in India. So that's my humble submission, without comparing to any other asset class, of course.
$15 billion is huge in 1 year if it's coming from NRIs, Isha. So now, some of our clients are asking that, if they buy a property and they definitely want to hold it. And you did mention that rental yields are going up in India. So, does India Asset support that? Because it's quite tedious to give a house on rent, find the right tenant. then taking maintaining the property, because when you change tenants, you need to get the entire house colored, etc. So does India Assets support them, because obviously the NRIs are not going to be here during the renewal of the lease agreements?
So again, this is one thing that I completely understand. It's a very valid concern. See, when even if it's a vacant property or if someone's living in it and you're in a different city, it becomes very difficult to manage that property taxes, if it is rented, rental collection, maintenance, repairs, utilities, bills. I mean, living in the same city, I'd like to give an example of Bangalore. So Bangalore itself, I'm sure quite a bit of you who are resident Indians itself on the call may have a property, let's say a little on the outskirts, and to go and visit that property just to get a basic cleaning done seems like a vacation that you need to take in order to go and spend a whole day and come back. Now, that problem becomes magnified if you're in a different city, if you have a diversified portfolio. So, for an NRI, you can multiply that at least by 100 because you are sitting thousands and thousands of kilometers away from your property, away from your family, away from a general what you believe a homely place. So I want to assure all of the audience sitting here that India Assets will completely represent you in finding a property, renting it out, getting the kind of tenants that would suit your property, then managing those tenants for you, doing a complete tenant management, re-renting your property, renewing your rentals, ensuring your utilities are done, your property taxes are paid, your rentals come to you on time. If there's any escalation in clause that needs to be done, all of that is factored end to end. If the rental agreement is coming towards an end, you need to re-rent it. Again, we will take care of all of this. And I'm not just saying this from a wealth management standpoint. I'd like to say this from a data standpoint. So let's say you have a property in India. What you we take into account your personal preferences and your property preferences and the market inputs. All of this combined runs in our algorithms. Then those algorithms will give what is the appropriate rental value for your property. They will also give the kind of tenants that you must have. And we will only put up your property for rentals. We will ensure that the photo shoot of your property, it is upskilled, it is upstaged, and it is put and outside to the world where it can grab as many eyeballs. In case you'd like to maintain some kind of you want to keep it low key and give it to a select network. Of course, through all of our partners, we have a great network of high net worth individuals and affluent customers through whom we can get tenants for you. Once you have a tenant, we will assist you with the entire tenant verification process, the background checks, the rental agreement, registration of the rental agreement, again via a POA if you would not want to travel to India. The entire process is digital. The entire process is one shot. All of your tenants, the maintenance of your property for your tenants to move in shall be done by us. Then once your tenants move in, ensuring that the rentals come on time, the taxes are paid out, the reminders go to your tenants. If there is any repairs, maintenance to be done, all of that will be done completely by us. The good part for an NRI, if they want to rent out a property, is that if let's say you take a property on a mortgage and then you rent it out, so you can actually use the rental income in order to service your loan. Also, you can use a rental property to get a much better yield and use this asset class to resell it at a gain in the future. So you can also reap profits by capital appreciation. What you can do, you can also repatriate the rental amount as well, provided it comes in your NRO account directly. Also, since if the rental amount is above a particular threshold, then you might have to pay an income tax because this is an income earned in India. So renting out a property is a great way for any NRI investor to reap much more benefits from their property. And we will, of course, help them throughout the process.
Wow, this sounds like a cakewalk renting out a property. Otherwise, it's so difficult to get those brokers and then, get some and, spend your Saturday, Sunday showing property. So if India Assets is going to take care, then what better than that? Now, the question here is, Isha, that how can a customer, trust the valuations that India Assets is offering for selling off a property or renting out a property? Is it competitive or not? Is there a way on your app that they can see, or how do you provide that comfort to our clients?
So before I answer that question, I'll just give a brief setup of the Indian real estate market. So currently, the market in the Indian real estate is divided primarily into two classes. One is the primary segment, which is the builders, the developers, and all of those who market their fresh units to sell them. Then there is the resale class, which means individuals like you, resident Indians, non-resident Indians, holding properties, wanting to sell those properties out. Now, if you look at the primary market, that market is a relatively data-driven market, because the units are available. Most of the units look alike. There is a pricing benchmark. All the data is available with the developer because they have developed those units. They have made them, so of course they have an idea of the pricing and everything. If you look at the secondary real estate market, which is the resale market, now, that is a huge market, relatively underserved market, and there is a huge gray area in terms of valuation of properties, because it's a customer to customer transaction, right? And what you perceive to be the value of your property may not be the same value of the property in the minds of the buyer. Or if you are a buyer, you might not give the value to a particular property that the seller might give value to. So it's very difficult to reach a common ground when it is a customer to customer transaction. Now, in this kind of a market, how does Indiassetz come into play? How does Indiassetz give the valuation of a property which is appealing to the user, which makes for a compelling case as well? So, Indiassetz has a proprietary valuation algorithm which takes into account your property and the intrinsic value of your property. So let's say if you have a particular facing, if you have a particular, amenities in your house, if you have a particular flooring, if you have any particular asset in your house which is valuable, we collect all of those details. Those details combined with all the properties that are available in our database, combined with the market knowledge that Indiassetz has collected in the secondary real estate market over the last 7 years. All of this is fed into our AI engine. This AI engine churns out not just the value of the property that is in the market, but it gives the intrinsic value of the property as well. Which is why the more details that you provide to us for your property, the better your valuation gets. All this you can do immediately on your phone, right? You can go on to your App Store, Play Store. You can download the Indiassetz application, register as a customer on Indiassetz, and avail the valuation feature by giving in details of your property. And the more data you give, the better the valuation engine gets. All this is not available in the primary sector, and Indiassetz is a pioneer in the secondary real estate space to give valuations in a market segment wherein you have no benchmark. So that's the kind of benchmark that we are trying to set, wherein in a secondary real estate market, in a customer to customer transaction, individuals get the value of the property that they believe is the correct value, which corresponds to the market standards, and also is a value that is suitable at both ends of the spectrum.
Understood. So it's completely tech enabled, tech driven, AI driven. So, the customers can be rest assured they will get the best price, provided they give all the details of their property and the furniture, etc., that they have inside. Isha, one interesting question is that where all Indiassetz is present in India, is this restricted to some large metro cities, or they are available even in small tier 2, tier 3 cities?
So currently, we have our headquarters in Bangalore. We are also present in Hyderabad, Chennai, Mumbai, and Delhi. And we service all properties in these regions. Customers from anywhere across the world, if you have properties in these 5 cities, please reach out to us. Please download our application, and we would definitely assist you in all of your real estate requirements.
Okay, so these cover most of the favorite cities of NRIs are Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi. You also are
Absolutely.
in Mumbai.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at in terms of NRIs as well, where most of the investments have been in the top 5 or 7 cities, right? Because they also give much better returns. However, tier 2 and tier 3 cities are also growing by leaps and bounds. And of course, we do have multiple plans for going into these cities. So rest assured, very, very soon we will be in the cities that that are, of course, doing well, and we will service all our NRIs in most of those cities.
Understood. Isha, one customer has asked a specific query, but I think this would be for many other clients also. So she's mentioning that she's a NRI in US and interested in buying a residential property in India with funds either transferred from US or held in her NRE NRO account in India. At the time of selling, will she be permitted to repatriate all the sale proceeds less TDS or just the dollar amount equivalent to the initial purchase amount? Will the profits from sale also be permitted to be repatriated or not?
Of course. So the first part of the question is absolutely correct, that you can repatriate the proceeds less TDS to your, if it's there in your NRO account, they can be repatriated. It is not the dollar amount of the initial purchase. That is because the tax has been deducted and the amount can be repatriated to wherever your source account is. In fact, a good, if there is any capital gains arising from the sale of that property, that also can be credited to your NRO account for repatriation. The only thing you need to keep into mind is that there's a limit of about $1 million every financial year that can be repatriated.
Understood. The next question, Isha, is as a NRI gifting a property to another NRI or resident Indian, is the procedure same as selling the property as far as the transaction is concerned, or it's different when an NRI gifts a property to a NRI or a resident Indian?
Okay, so in terms of gifting a particular property, again, the thing that we need to keep in mind is that if it's a residential or a commercial property, of course, the property can be gifted out. The procedure is almost relatively simpler. I mean, it's almost relatively the same. And the entire gift deed procedure, everything can be done. Let's say if it's required for a power of attorney, a power of attorney to be done in order to represent the NRI customer, that also can be done. A gift deed and the entire documentation that is associated with it will be completely taken care of by Indiassetz as well.
Okay. The next question is on if a house on a single name is sold, can the sale price of the new house be purchased in a joint name, father, daughter, to take care of the inheritance and succession, or it has to be in the same holding pattern where the house was?
Sorry, could you just let me know that question again?
Yeah. So if a house in a single name was sold, okay, so suppose if my father sold his house, okay, and then the new house is bought with me and my father as a joint in the joint name, is there any taxation, etc., involved, or we can add my name in the new house from the sale proceed of the old
Of
house?
course, of course. The sale proceeds can be used to buy the house jointly. That's
Okay.
not a problem.
Okay. Yeah, so that really helps. Um, and now the next question is, I have been living in UK for 15 years. I inherited agricultural land worth 9 crores in India. Can I own this land as an NRI? If yes, can I give it to my son?
So in this case, I would assume that your parent, whoever's the
Yes.
client in question here, the parent was the absolute owner of the
Yes.
land parcel in question. And also, I can further assume that they passed away in state without a will in your,
Yes.
and that you have as you mentioned that you have inherited the land. That means you have done all the formalities that are required as per
Yes.
the state laws to inherit that the property. So yes, you are the rightful owner of the property. So under the FEMA, which is a Foreign Exchange Management Act, there is no restriction on an NRI to hold an agricultural land. So you may own this land, it's not a problem, provided you have completed all the formalities that are there in the prevalent state laws for the land being transferred into your name. Now, in respect of giving your land to your son, I'd first like to understand if the son, I would assume, would be an NRI as well. So,
Yes.
to know this, NRIs can gift residential or commercial properties to any NRI. However, if the property is an agricultural land, a plantation land, or a farmhouse, it can be gifted to a citizen of India residing in India. In such a
Got
case, what can be done and what we can assist you with is you can do a residential conversion and then gift it to your son.
Okay. So agricultural cannot be transferred from me, NRI, to my son, but it can be converted to a residential property and then can be gifted to my
Yes,
son,
and
right?
again, we can assist you with the whole conversion, CLU obtaining, everything we will assist you, and it can be easily done.
Okay. Now, we all know that, Indian properties, they do sometimes involve a lot of legal, issues, pending issues. So does India as such support legal aspects also of the property before selling, buying, or that we have to outsource it to someone?
So, Indiassetz is a one-stop solution for everything real estate. And in a sense, we have one of the best lawyers in each city empaneled with us to take care of all legal assistance requirements. I'll give you one small example. One of the biggest problems that customers face is because real estate is generally an inherited asset class. So, in that sense, a lot of the property documents, because this has been a very offline, a very trust driven, a very hand down sort of an asset class, 90% of the people would have a documentation issue. Some or the other property document of yours would be missing if you go on to trace. And when you intend to do a buying or a selling transaction, a lot of these properties documents come into the foray, and you realize that maybe a property tax is not paid, somewhere a mother deed is not there, somewhere a title is missing, a khata is not there. A lot of problems in terms of documentation could arise. So India Assets will take care of not only legal assistance but of the entire documentation process as well. So if there is anything required for a customer in order to transact, to understand what the legal requirements are, what is to be procured, what is to be submitted, everything we will take care with a very, very strongly empaneled panel of legal experts.
Understood. Yes, so that is helpful because sometimes you get complicated transactions and you want someone to support. So great that we can have that also with you. Isha, the next question is around around, because you said that it's a tech enabled company, right? And if suppose I as a client have 3 4 properties with you, which I have bought, etc., so how do I get updates of my valuation, the returns that I have made on this property? Is there going to be some app related updates that I can get, or I can just view? How does it help me?
So I want to make this process very simple for everyone. Just like HSBC is, of course, your partner in everything that you do, and all the updates come to you sitting wherever you are and helps you as a team. India Assets does exactly the same. You will get, just like how you get your bank account statement, your wallet statement, everything that you have for your properties, whether it is pricing. So we have a feature wherein on your application, you can look at the property value going up, down, however, whatever changes are there with the market, just like your stocks, if you keep looking at it, right? So you have your wallet wherein you can look at all your properties, what are the orders you have raised on it, what is the status of all the orders that you have raised on it. You can chat with us, you can place any order sitting anywhere in the world for all of your properties. You can manage all your tenants in a particular in the same app. You can upload any kind of document that you would like. All of the documents that are there for you will be digitally uploaded in a digital locker, which is completely safe, secure, through all of the checks and balances done. All the eKYC will be done on a single application. So whether any kind of management requirement, any kind of notification, anything that is connected to your property will come to you as a notification. So you can be rest assured, if you do not have any representation or any member in India You do not have anyone, yet you have a property. You will get regular updates of your property. You can monitor the growth of your property. You can also add other properties that you want to monitor as, an investment opportunity in the future. You can add it to your watch list. You can watch the market grow. You can look at the average property prices across cities to make informed decisions. All your rentals, all your sale, all your documents, everything will be available to you on a single application. So you do not have to worry about any updates. If it's your transaction, let's say who's the buyer, who's the seller, what's the procedure with them, how many site visits have been done, how many leads have come, how many interests have come, what is the status of those interests, what is the status of documentation. Everything is available to you on a single application at the click of a button.
This is quite comforting. So, like no one can think that, real estate, the immobile asset that we have, we normally, where the house we are staying, we don't know the property prices regularly. But India asset can actually help the NRI sitting, 10,000 kilometers away, know the value of their property on a regular basis, and even document upload, etc., is on your mobile app. So that is truly tech enabled journey. Isha, one last question that we will ask is on the cap of properties. Is there any capping that NRI can hold only X number of real estate in residential properties or commercial properties? Is there any such law or something that they should keep in mind?
No. So there is absolutely no cap on holding any amount of residential and commercial properties. In fact, there is, you can obtain loans from banks on any amount of properties, provided that you have sufficient income to service those loans. So there is absolutely no cap.
Okay. There are a few tax related questions which I would request clients to reach out to EY, who is our tax partner, for giving answers to them. However, there is one question, Isha, which I may be the last question. What is TCS 20% and how does it impact for sending money abroad from a property sale? If you can answer that question, because there are two, three questions of
Since it's
similar nature.
tax related, I would
Okay.
not be.
Yeah, yeah. I understand. So, customers who have asked this question, we can, arrange a call with with the EY team, and they can answer that question for you. Isha, any last points that you want to conclude before we end the session?
So all I want to say is that I hope this session has been, I've tried to clear out the air on investments in India. It's a very lucrative market. It does give a huge upside on all of your investments. And if you are worried about even a single aspect of investing in India, selling a property in India, managing it, repatriations, any advisory, any taxation requirements, please do not, or management of your property, if you want any legal assistance, valuation, government licensing work, maintenance, or if you require any kind of transaction, if you're looking for attractive investment opportunities, everything that you can think of under the sun for your real estate, we shall do it for you, we shall represent you, and we shall do it in the best of our capabilities, and we shall ensure that you have a hassle free journey while investing in India. That's what I'd like to say. And I would really like to thank Deepa and the entire team of HSBC for arranging this. It has truly, truly been an honor to speak here.
Thank you, Isha. With this, we come to an end of today's session. Isha, thank you for your time and valuable insights. I'm sure that our viewers have got some great takeaways from today's session. To our customers who have joined us today, I hope this was useful and do keep tuned in for our future sessions. As you can see on the screen, there's a ticker going on. If you want to reach out to India Assets, we've shared their contact number and email ID. You can reach out to them for your personal queries. In case you have any tax related queries, we have our partner EY who services all HSBC clients. So you can reach out to us and we will be happy to serve you and connect you with EY for taxation. In case you want to take any special topic or share any feedback, please do feel free to reach out to your relationship manager. We will see you again for another interesting session next month. Have a great day and a great weekend ahead. Thank you very much.